Zhanke is regarded as the director of China's sixth generation. With China's reform and opening up, Chinese cinema shifted its narrative focus more epic tales, glorifying the past, to more contemporary issues. As the economic boom and urbanization accelerated, some people boarded the train of progress and moved forward in strides, while others, through part of this era, found themselves out of place. Zha's early films focus on his hometown Fenyang, using amateur, low-budget methods to tell the story of those who left behind by the times. Like the third cinema, the sixth-generation directors, especially Zhao, challenged the existing cultural framework. The rapid pace of urbanization and societal transformation has led to a significant class disparities within a short period, giving rise to an alternative forms of cultural colonization. Films like Xiaowu and Platform document these non-mainstream, authentic memories, the aspect of reform and historical transformation that official narrative prefer not to acknowledge. These scars of history persist and should never be forgotten. Character development is a crucial element in both films. In the film Xiao Wu, the protagonist Xiao Wu is a reform-resistant thief who values loyalty and righteousness. However, with the advent of reform and opening up and the government's crackdown on crime, his criminal activities no longer proceed as smoothly as before, and the carefree life of revenge and retribution he once knew can only exist in his memories. While he remains immersed in the past, his former companions who have already reformed and now view Xiao as a pariah, unwilling to mention the sheer history of theft and deception. His former partner in crime, Xiao Yong, has become a successful businessman. With the friendship gone, he met Mei Mei, a singer who shared his interest, but Xiao Wu was not the man she could entrust her life to. She left without word. When Xiao Wu tried to steal again, he was caught on the spot, facing legal punishment and further isolation from the society. In the movie of Platform, Cui Minliang's local culture troupe was once a highly sought-after profession before the reform and opening up. They performed consolation show, singing songs and dancing, appraised the party and the people. Zhongping and Yin Ruijun were representatives of avant-garde. Zhongping initially wore a white long dress and danced passionately, standing out from the era. Yin Ruijun, after her life settled into the mundane routine, constantly used the dance to reminisce about her past. However, as the time changed, the cultural troupe also need to adapt. Some abandon their dreams of being cultural workers, while others become government officials. Those who remain drifted with the times, wandering aimlessly, growing their hair long, and constantly lowering their moral standards in the face of the temptations of error. Ultimately, their spiritual world collapsed completely. When the long-distance bus returned to Fenyang, everyone was still left with nothing. They had transformed from the most progressive and inclusive cultural workers into outcasts. In both films, music played a crucial role in shaping the characters. The soundtrack for the film Xiao Wu is "Ba Wang Bieji," a song about Xiang Yu, a historical figure known for his loyalty and righteousness. Xiang Yu overthrew the tyrannical Qing dynasty but ultimately lost his kingdom due to his arrogance and stubbornness. In the film, Xiao Wu faced a similar fate. Perhaps in a different era, the loyal and righteous Xiao Wu would have a better future. The soundtrack for Platform shares the same name as the film. In the song Platform, it highlights the sense of confusion, much like all the characters in the film. The train of history speeds by, leaving them on the platform, unsure of where to go next. These two films are not as radical as traditional third cinema films, much like L.A. Rebellion's important film, Killer of Sheep, which tells story of people fighting against their fate in a straightforward manner. Through seemingly uneventful, this ordinary suffering resonates more deeply with audiences. Early cinema films like The Hour of the Furnace and The Battle of Algiers focused more on physical liberation, while by the 1970s and 1980s, China and the US had achieved the basic material satisfaction, shifting the focus to the spiritual development of the audience. In these three films, the director's use of cinematography and space all speak to the spiritual oppression faced by the protagonist or the people of the era. In the film Killer of Sheep, Charles Burnett's use of camera differs significantly from traditional Hollywood and mainstream cinema. Any student who has taken a film course knows the basic rule and guidelines for headroom and the positioning of the subject in the frame. But in this film, Charles Bennett breaks these rules almost constantly. The most striking part of the film is when Stan and his friend sit at the table enjoying real moments of rest. However, in the frame, the characters occupy 19% of the screen, completely defying the cinematography rules. Even during the leisure moments, Stan's face is filled with frustration and confusion. So such a portrayal, the audience can also feel the protagonist's emotion. When Stan's wife steps out of the frame, the three people are lying in a straight line, intensifying the sense of oppression in the scene. In the latter half of the film, when Stan and his wife dance at home, the window should theoretically release the oppressive atmosphere, but the wide window seems to set a boundary, confining Stan and his wife to a narrow space, symbolizing that black people can only survive in the confined spaces. When his wife tries to take a step forward, she is rejected by Stan. In the film's conclusion, despite Stan's efforts, their lives show no signs of improvement, yet they still face the future with a smile. Zhanke's portrayal of space is even more ingenious. In the film Xiao Wu, the former friend Xiao Yong does want Xiao Wu to attend his wedding. In this scene, the walls become the focal point of the frame, with the content on the walls depicting their past years, which have been transformed beyond recognition by the passage of the time. At the end of the film, when Xiao Wu is arrested again for theft, he crouches by the roadside. The camera shifts to Xiao Wu's perspective, and as the crowd grows larger, feelings of embarrassment and discomfort intensify, filling the screen. The film platform is focused on the city walls. At the beginning, the film centers on young people who full of ambition, but they want more. The cities will cover both of them in the frame, and the audience can only see one of them, symbolizing their oppressive and troubled relationship. In ancient times, the city walls protected the people, but in modern times they restrict their growth. To keep pace with the times, the young people set out on a journey away from their hometowns. However, after many years wandering, they return home filled with confusion. The life that should have flourished with the times ultimately returns to the mundane, ordinary existence. No matter which film it is, they all depict the powerlessness of ordinary people caught in the whirlpool of the times. Some are due to changes in the times, while others are due to the reality of racial oppression. However, no matter which film it is, they all tell the story of the past deliberately ignored by the mainstream media. This is why such cinema exists. After watching the film, I ask myself, what is the meaning of the cinema? Because on the surface, the cinema doesn't seem to change anything. It's likely throwing a stone into the ocean, creating no ripples. But my classmate in the class provided for an answer. Such cinema is a form of documentation, a catharsis for reality. As people navigate the waves of time in search of a place, the existence of such cinema tells future generations about the path their predecessors took. In an increasingly globalized world, it helps us to avoid losing sight of ourselves.